I guess really without going into too much detail, I'll say that I've been on this journey of professional soul searching for the past 6 years since I graduated from Washington College. And when I graduated from Washington College, I moved to Baltimore. I spent about 3 years there, kind of just getting rid of the blinders, learning as much as I can about different industries, different types of people. And it was great. I had a chance to get involved with corporate analytics at a big global firm. I also worked at Johns Hopkins Neurology on their fundraising department, so I really got to learn that from the ground up. And then I actually got a chance to do some strategic outreach for the Maryland Center for Construction Education and Innovation. And as part of that, I also ran a mentorship program for Baltimore City and Baltimore County students who were just interested in getting involved with the built environment. So it was a fast 3 years, I'll say, and I met a lot of good people, learned a lot of lessons, and the same theme for a lot of people here in Kent County and Chestertown. I just had something to call me back home. I've always had one foot in and one foot out, but my fiancée and I, at the time, we were ready to move back to the Eastern Shore, where we're both from, and we decided to make that leap, and that was in 2018. So when I moved back and I joined Eastern Shore Land Conservancy, and that was an organization that I had looked at pretty frequently. I knew that my fiance and I would make it back to the Eastern Shore at some point. We had talked about it. We just didn't know when the right timing would be. But when we looked around, Eastern Shore Land Conservancy was one of the main organizations that I had on my sights, just because I liked how they were community-minded, really strategic in how they connected these broad issues, these broad complex issues throughout the entire region, and just pulling it together under one umbrella. I joined them working in community revitalization, primarily in the Cambridge area. And that's where we were working on this big 60,000 square foot redevelopment project called the Packing House. And that has a park and trail element to it that's adjacent to the project, but then also has some community development work attached to that as well, just because that building and its history has such a strong hold in the community that if there's going to be economic development there, then there needed to be something making sure that it still has some type of anchor for the community and lifting them up. Yeah, so Kent Attainable Housing, I've had the privilege of hearing about them, knowing about them, really since they started. So they approached me to be on the board about 2 years ago, and that was around the time where they were really just figuring out the model and just how to really get things going. And I was totally interested, but frankly, I just didn't have time. But I still made an effort to stay connected. I donated, offered, my support, my perspective any way that I could. So it was just one of those things where it just kind of, the ongoing relationship just kept going until, this opportunity came up. And I actually met the board president, Lanny Cycly. Hopefully I pronounced that right, Lanny. She'll let me know if I didn't. But yeah, I met her randomly through a connection at Washington College. Patrick Nugent connected her and I over an oral history project that she had done for Vita Foods. And, just around that, we stayed connected all this time. But basically, Kent Attainable Housing is working to break the cycle of poverty through home ownership and working with families to help them prepare for and to purchase a home through homeowners counseling and financial counseling. And really, just to kind of put it more simply, having a home, that's the foundation of life. You need shelter. And if you don't have shelter, then everything else attached to your life kind of becomes chaotic. You don't have a safe space to learn and educate yourself. You don't have a place where you can really focus on taking care of your physical, spiritual, mental health, your job situation. If you don't have a stable home, then you might not have a stable job. You don't know where you can work, how you can get there, or somewhere you can come back to and lay your head down and rest up for the next day. So, yeah, we're really looking at it as a generational cause. Generational cause, attacking the issue of poverty in Kent County, which most people might not see as that big of an issue, but, there are some pretty clear nuances that shows how bad it is. And broadly, we'd love to get at least 40 families in homes. We don't have a time frame set for that, but we figure that if we can get at least 40 families in homes based on our 41-person applicant list, then we can start making some major impacts for the benefit of Kent County as a whole. it's professional for me, but it's also super personal because I've had the privilege of seeing that cycle of poverty, through friends I grew up with around here and through family members. I've literally seen that cycle play one generation after the other without much intervention. So, it's definitely one of those things that it has to be addressed in some way.